welcome back to another episode of We Know You Didn't Wash Your Hair, Irene. The beanie isn't fooling us.
Well, they say he's not coming back and nothing can fill the void, but at least we can try with food. I'll make some apple pie, come on in. It's Dead Dad's Kitchen.
Hi, we're back in the kitchen and I am so excited. Here are the reasons that I'm excited. There's like 4. 1, I feel like we haven't been in the kitchen in a long time. 2, it's another focaccia video. Oh well, sorry world. 3, it is testing the Claire Saffitz focaccia recipe. And the 4th reason I'm excited is because you're here and we get to do this together. And I'm just so excited to try this, you guys. Claire Saffitz is a huge baking inspiration for me. I think I've made 2 of her recipes on the channel. I think I did the Butterfingers and I did the croissants, and they both turned out great. The croissants were absolutely sensational. I love that recipe so much. It's still one of the things I'm most proud of that I've baked. Her focaccia looks really beautiful. Now, our methods of focaccia are very different. I'm gonna show you guys in just a second what I did, because since our Halloween focaccia video, which I've referenced quite a few times since I've been on this focaccia kick, I keep going like, oh, here's my focaccia recipe in that Halloween one. I have changed the recipe a little, and the next clip I'm gonna show y'all is how I have been doing everything and what I've changed in that recipe. So take a look at that and we'll be right back here in just a second. So what you're watching is my normal focaccia process, except the only 2 things I've changed are I've done a 50-50 split of all-purpose flour and bread flour. So I'm doing 2 cups of each, and I'm also doing 2 1/4 cups of water instead of just the 2 cups that I had originally had. I'm also a really good dancer. I hope you took note of that. And then it's the same honey, warm water into the yeast, salt, and flour, and then into the fridge for like 48 to 72 hours. So you guys can see I'm still doing the long fermentation process, just a little bit of mixing together and then throwing it in the fridge for a couple of days. However, I changed the recipe a little bit, and that recipe will be down in the description below if you are curious. So we're gonna try that new recipe up against Claire Saffitz's. I'm gonna be making mine with like a 2-day long cold ferment in the fridge. She suggests 1 day, so that's why I started my focaccia yesterday and hers today, and we will be baking it off tomorrow. Let's get started. So for Miss Saffitz's, we don't use any sweetener. So our yeast is not going to be munching on anything. It's just the water that we're gonna warm up, and we need a 1/2 cup of water at first. So the interesting thing about this recipe is it does require a stand mixer. She wants you to use a stand mixer for this guy, which is great. I'm lucky to have one, so I'll be using it. But I'm really excited to see what the extra gluten building will do for this focaccia. This water got a little too hot. You don't want to use scalding hot water when you're working with yeast and trying to bloom it, because that'll actually kill your yeast. You want it to be 100, 105 degrees. A good way to guess that is if you put your finger in and it kind of doesn't feel like anything, maybe just a little warm. Like right now, that kind of hurt my finger. So we're going to wait just a second. Claire asks for an envelope of active dry yeast. Now, usually those are all the same exact amount. Right now I have my trusty little pot of yeast, so I'm just gonna measure out the 7 grams that she asks for in there. However, it usually comes to about 2.5 teaspoons. There's 7 grams. Okay, great. I am going to pour my water right into my little bowl, because we're gonna be doing a lot in this mixing bowl. A lot's gonna be happening just in here. That's warm enough. We're going to put that in there. Gorge. I like to just give it a little mix so that it can sort of be incorporated with the water, and I can make sure that it blooms up. And I know we've talked about this 100 times, but just in case you don't remember, blooming your yeast just is adding it to a warm liquid to make sure that it's still alive. It is just the last thing in the world that you want to do, to be baking and then not proof your yeast, and then 4 hours into your experiment realize things aren't rising properly. So I always like to just do it. It only takes 5 minutes. And it smells really good. It smells bready and sexy and fun. This is what our yeast looks like when we first put it into the warm water, and here is what it looks like 5 minutes later. And again, this really doesn't change anything in the actual end bake of the product. It's just so you know your yeast is good. Now what we're going to do is the next part of Claire's recipe. So we're gonna add 2.5 more cups of water into our water, and then 6 cups of bread flour. what you just saw is the beginning of the end. And this is why baking is so amazing and so tricky. That was me adding 3 cups of water, not 2.5. I wasn't paying attention. And in my 2-cup measuring cup, I saw that it was half full, and I thought, that's half, that's 2.5. But really, that was half full of 2 cups. So that was 1 plus the original 2, 3 cups of water. And then for the rest of the video, I'm like, this is so wet. You'll see. Let's keep going. So because Claire is Claire and I want her to watch this and be impressed by me, I am going to weigh my ingredients instead of measuring out with the cup measurement. She does give cup measurements, so if you guys don't have a scale, no problem at all. Need 780 grams. There we go. This is also where I'm going to add my salt to the recipe. Definitely a good amount of salt in the actual dough itself. It's like 4 times the amount of salt I use in my dough, so I'm excited to see if that gives us a more flavorful dough. Okay, let's see. There we go. So what we do now is we are just going to mix this on a low speed just so everything starts to get hydrated, because right now we just have a bunch of water and a bunch of flour and a little bit of salt and nothing's combined yet. So we just want to hydrate that flour so it's all one homogeneous mixture, and then we can get into the actual like mixing, beating, building that gluten. And now we're going to mix on medium-high for 5 minutes. So now I will see you in 5 minutes. Yes, my KitchenAid is still broken. We have a beautiful little soup of flour and salt and water and yeast. What we're gonna do now is take a damp, not wet, just damp, clean kitchen rag and put it over our guy. The reason we're covering this with a damp cloth has 3 layers to it. The first is if we don't need to use plastic, why would we? That's why we're using a cloth. The second is the damp, and we're keeping it damp because we don't want our little soup to dry out. And the third, we're covering it and letting it rest so that the gluten that we've just started to develop can kind of just chill the f out for a second. Gluten is very stubborn, and it's this really, really tight network of proteins that are being held together. And us mixing it is starting to develop them and starting to bring them together. But they really don't want to let go. So when we give them a second to rest, they chill out, and then we can build it up even tighter. So we're gonna have this really beautiful gluten structure. It's sort of like muscles. When you're working out and you're doing a bunch of like hip thrusts, you're breaking down your muscle fiber. And then when you eat protein, it helps build that muscle fiber a little bit. So we are just giving it a second so that it can chill out and breathe. So I will see you now in like 10 minutes. So we have our little damp Towelski-Wowski, and we are just going to move her off to the side. And now we are going to mix this again on medium-high speed for 10 to 15 minutes. And that's just gonna kind of like shock the gluten and be like, oh yeah, we gotta build this again. And I can tell it's even gotten softer just in that 10 minutes, so I'm excited about that. Like Claire says in her video, most of the time when things have yeast in them, you're going to see 2 rises. We're going to get our dough ready for the first rise, and to do that we are going to put a 1/4 cup of nice olive oil. This is the nice olive oil that I could afford. And we're gonna put a 1/4 cup in here so that we can get ready for this to do its first rise. We have been mixing for about 15 minutes. So we're seeing that the dough is starting to pull away from the sides. Now this still looks so soupy gloopy poopy, I swear. Like it's giving batter basically. However, Claire tells us that that is exactly right. Okay, we're going to stop our mixer because it's mixed for long enough. I know it looks crazy. You're like, that's absolutely not done. But Claire says it is. So this is the fun part about baking is like, you can have the same thing 1,000 times. Like I clearly have. I've had focaccia 1,000,000 times now. But every time it's gonna be different and there's gonna be something special that you haven't tried yet. And again, we have our oiled bowl and we are going to, I guess, pour this in here. My mommy got me this bench scraper for Hanukkah. So Claire wants us to get in here and like release this dough so that it is not touching the bottom, not touching the sides. So it's jiggling and jostling in there. We're just gonna make sure that this, I probably added too much oil. Oh well, it's focaccia bread. So I'm gonna take this same damp towel that we used before and put it over this, and we are going to wait for our second proof, which should take about an hour, maybe 2, somewhere in between there, and I will see you when this guy is doubled in size. So our dough has pretty much doubled in size. It's more like 1.75 in size, which is fine, because we are going to put it in the fridge overnight so that it can get a little bit more flavor. Claire says that if you have the time, you should, why not? And my focaccia dough is in there long proofing as well. So it'll be fun to see how they both last after a day or so in the fridge. Now, she suggests, I'm gonna read the instructions one more time. Do 4 stretch and folds and add to the sheet tray. Stretch as much as possible to fill. Oil the plastic wrap, cover for about 10 minutes. Okay, there's some gross thing on my counter. Love that. That should be fine. God, oil is so cool, dude. We're gonna do 4 stretch and folds. So, oh, that's nice and jiggly jaggly. You're gonna pick it up. Oh gosh, she is sticky. Let's get my hands a little oilier. Pick it up, stretch it. Okay, turn it 90 degrees. This is real sticky. Stretch it. Stretch. Mine is sort of like ripping. Hers did not do that. And that's never fun. So we're seeing like a lot of bubbles on the top here. I don't know if you're able to see that. It's very jiggly. Pour her out. Okay, love. What she wants us to do is sort of spread. Dude, ours look real different. She wants us to, okay, why is mine sticking? I have the oil on there. See, why did it stick? What were, oh, good. That's actually awesome. I love getting, oh, nice, dude. Hell yeah, I love that. I love that. That's so cool. It's such a good thing. Oil on the floor, perfect. That's what I like about this. So we're supposed to try to get it to go to the edges, and she was like, it's gonna be really stubborn, and mine is not being stubborn. That's also making me nervous. How should I best do this? Okay. Maybe that was not the best way to, but she says you basically want to oil your plastic wrap because you don't want anything. Oh, geez. Okay, hold on. Everybody hold on. Okay, we're not doing that. Here's what we're gonna do. So now this just vibes out, and we're supposed to like let it relax, which it seems pretty relaxed to me. Hers is just so much like tighter than mine. Maybe it'll be great. I know that a wet dough is gonna lead to some really beautiful air pockets. So maybe this is exactly what we need. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna peel this plastic back. This is gonna stick to the bottom of this pan. I know it is. And I put so much oil down. And I'm not trying to dimple it yet, you guys. So I'm just trying to make sure it's like filled the pan, which I mean it is. I don't even know why I did this. This is gonna stick. I'm gonna be so pissed. That's okay. That's okay. I don't know that. I have no idea. I can't read the future. If I did, I'd guess the lottery numbers. So maybe it's gonna be great. I will be getting a fish spatula today, just in case. Any massive bubbles, she says that you can pop at this stage, like that guy I'm gonna pop. And you guys know I love a bubble, but when they get too big, they can burn, they can not evenly distribute the heat. These all look roughly the same size. Our plastic wrap is already oiled. So we're just gonna put it right back over and wait wait for tomorrow. I take my focaccia out 3 to 4 hours before I bake it. And she doesn't say how many hours you should take hers out before. I'll probably do 2. We're gonna bake both at the exact same temperature. I bake mine at 452, 450 as well, not 452. It's not that serious. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous on how soft that is and how sticky it is, but there's only one way to find out and one way to see how it goes, and that is to let it do its thing and bake it off tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow. This is 8 a.m. the next morning. I am making a large one, olive oiling the pan, and then making a tiny little baby one. I talk about why I have 2 different sizes, but I stretch and fold my dough and put it in and let it rest. We're sitting at the couch. What else would we be doing except decorating focaccia? Listen, Mama Claire, if you're watching, I would follow you to the end of the earth. Now, I do find that when I use raw garlic in my focaccia, it oftentimes burns. So the only alteration I'm gonna be making to Miss Claire's is using garlic confit that I made. If you're curious as to what garlic confit is, because I said that like so cool and natural, it is just garlic that has been cooked in fat. Confit means just cooked in fat. And in this case, it's olive oil, and I cooked it with rosemary as well. So I'm gonna be using that because it's a lot less likely to burn. And oh my God. That face is probably like pornographic. I probably shouldn't put that in. It's a lot less likely to burn in my experience, and I have it. So that's what's up. So she uses rosemary, garlic, olive oil as a topper for her focaccia. So we're gonna be doing just that. I have also, oh, she chops hers up, doesn't she? And she likes to use the rosemary the same reason I like to use the rosemary in focaccia. It's sort of like deep fries in the little oil pockets. It's so fun. It's so sexy and beautiful. So we're gonna get that in there. We can do a couple more, why not? And then the other focaccia I'm gonna be making, you guys, I don't wanna hear about it. Everybody in my life is so tired of eating this focaccia, I swear. So I am making it for another local business that I love. So the people who I gave it to last time, Verve. Verve Coffee is in this really cute little area of Melrose, which is like a fun, like fancy kind of shopping, restaurant-y street in Los Angeles if you've never been here. So on Melrose, there is this store right next to Verve called Palace. And if you guys skateboard, you probably already know what that is. I did not. As much as my high school, middle school self would love to be a cool skateboard girl, I'm not. I don't know how. It scares me. I think I'd be bad at it. I've always loved it. I've always thought the guys were super cute. I've always thought it was just took a lot of fucking talent. Like, just really impressed by skateboarding. And these Palace guys who work at the Palace store are always skateboarding out on Melrose, and they're doing these amazing things and these cool tricks, and it's just so impressive. So I made them some cookies back in December, and they were so sweet about it. And they were so appreciative. Like, they acted like they had never been given cookies before. And so I was just like, they were really sweet. And so now I was like, oh my God, let's make them a focaccia. They seem like they would like it. But first we're gonna start with Claire's. We're unveiling Claire's focaccia. Why is so much of the focaccia on this side of the tray and not this other side? Well, we're gonna see. What if I kind of like, can I sort of drag it? Okay, I mean, let's go. Now we're gonna take Claire's topping. Oh, I almost forgot my salt. As if. Okay, love that, love that, love that, love that, love that. The best part about using like such a big, beautiful, flaky salt on a bread like this is it is a really soft, squishy bread, so it's up to the toppings to give you a little bit of extra texture. So like that deep fried rosemary is gonna be nice. That kind of like toothsome garlic confit is gonna be nice. And this crunchy, salty bit is gonna be so lovely. So now here is my, oh, look at her. Beep, 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 beep. My little baby focaccia. Let's just try to cut it up a little bit. No? Okay. And a little red pep. Just a little. Oh, just all right in the middle. Yeah, dude, hell yeah. Why not? So this is our final part of Claire's focaccia, okay? So we're going to be Putting this on our bottom rack. I've positioned the bottom rack in my oven super low and the top rack super high because she sort of devised this way of baking where then you cook it on the bottom for the most amount of time, and then at a certain point you bring it to the top rack and it gets the top nice and crispy and that first part got the bottom nice and crispy. So let's go put it in the oven and you guys will see it when it's all done. So, I don't know if you guys can see really. This has like some cracks and craggles that I'm not used to. I did also, however, like I told you guys, I was nervous, so I got a fish spatula to get these out of here. Ugh. Okay, so there's mine. She's just kind of a slim queen today. Okay, so I can already, okay. This is a literal full 2 minutes of me trying to get this bread out of the pan sped up. Again, it is totally my fault. This was way too wet. Of course it stuck this much, but I was frustrated. I'm gonna cut this part because she likes to cut it with scissors. So there's definitely really nice crumb structure there. Absolutely. The bottom is not like, it's kind of just soft, but that's fine, I guess. Let's see how it tastes. Well, oh. So here are both of those crumb structures. This is Claire's, this is mine. Truly, as unbiased as I can be, I do like mine better. But that's for a couple reasons. I think that Claire's actual bread is more flavorful because she used so much more salt than I normally do, which I'll definitely be adapting. But I like the crisp on mine more. I like the bottom on mine more. I like the way that the top ends up baking up. I don't love the visual cracks. I like more kind of the valleys and stuff in focaccia. But I think that hers is a really cool recipe that you can do day of. Again, mine takes like 3 days in the fridge. And I think the stickiness of this dough just does not let it come out of the pan very easily. Or maybe I messed it up because it looks like when she did hers, it looked fine. I don't know. Either way, it was so fun to try something different. I'm so used to my own recipe and I love it so much for a reason, but it's really great to try new things. And again, from Claire, I learned that my dough needs some more salt, and that's okay. And I'm really glad we tried this experiment together, yet another focaccia experiment, and thank you for being here for it. Let me know if you guys have tried any of Claire Saffitz's recipes, because again, her croissant recipe is unbelievable. Let me know if you've tried her focaccia, and let me know if you want, some other type of focaccia video, and I will happily do it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure that you show me how much you love focaccia by hitting that like button, commenting down below, and subscribing to the channel. You can check out my Patreon too at patreon.com/Irene Walton. I will be eating this whole tray, just so we're all aware, and making a sandwich out of this guy. All right, I love you. Have a focaccia day.